Hey, what is it, you sexy bee? Solar Tristan here, and I'm bringing you another creepy story from creepypasta. This is Jeff the Killer. Really, you guys are ready for this. It's a pretty creepy story, so you have to stay till the end to really understand what's going on, and so you guys won't be disappointed. But I'm actually gonna get right into it. So, ominous unknown killer is still at large. After weeks of unexplained murders, the ominous killer is still on the rise. After little evidence has been found, a young boy states that he survived one of the killer's attacks and bravely tells his story. I had a bad dream and that I woke up in the middle of the night, says the boy. I saw that for some reason the window was open, even though I remember it being closed when I went to bed. I got up and shut it once more. Afterwards, I crawled under my covers and tried to go back to sleep. That's when I had a strange feeling, like someone was watching me. I looked up, nearly jumped out of my bed. There, in a little ray of light illuminating between my curtains, there were a pair of two eyes. These weren't regular eyes, they were dark, ominous eyes. They were bordered in black, just plain out terrified me. That's when I saw his mouth, a long, horrendous smile that made my hair on my body stand up. The figure stood there, watching me. Finally, after what seemed like forever, he said it, a simple phrase, but only a madman would say it. He said, "Go to sleep." I let out a scream. That's what he sent at me. He pulled up a knife, aiming at my heart. He jumped on top of my bed. I fought him back. I kicked. I punched. I rolled around, trying to knock him off me. And that's when my dad busted in. The man threw the knife. It went into my dad's shoulder. The man probably would have finished him off if one of the neighbors hadn't called the police. They drove into a parking lot and ran towards the door. The man turned and ran down the hallway. I heard a smash, like glass breaking. As I came out of my room, I saw the window that was pointing towards the back of my house was broken. I looked out to see him vanishing into the distance. I can tell you one thing, I will never forget that face, those cold, evil eyes, and that psychotic smile. They will never leave my head. Police are still on the lookout for this man. If you've seen anyone that fits the description, please contact your local police department. Jeff and his family had moved into a new neighborhood. His dad had gotten a promotion at work, and they thought it'd be the best place to live in one of those fancy neighborhoods. Jeff and his brother Lou couldn't complain, though. A new, better house, what's not to love? They were getting unpacked. One of their neighbors came by. "Hello," she said. "I'm Barbara. I live across the street from you. Well, I just wanted to introduce myself and introduce my son." She turns around and calls her son over. "Billy, these are our new neighbors." Billy said hi and ran back to play in the yard. "Well," said Jeff's mom, "I'm Margaret. This is my husband Peter, and my two sons, Jeff and Lou." They each introduce themselves, and then Barbara invites him to their son's birthday. Jeff and his brother were about to object, but their mother said that they would love to. When Jeff and his family are done packing, Jeff went up to his mom. "Mom, why would you invite us to some kid's party? If you haven't noticed, I'm not some dumb kid." "Jeff," said his mother, "we just moved here. We would show that we'd like to spend some time with our neighbors. Now, we're going to that party and that's final." Jeff started to talk, but stopped himself, knowing that he couldn't do anything. Whenever his mom said something, it was final. He walked up to his room and planned down on his bed. He sat there looking at the ceiling, then suddenly he got a weird feeling. Not so much a pain, but a weird feeling. He dismissed it as just being some random feeling. He heard his mother call him down to get his stuff, and he walked down to get it. The next day, Jeff walked down the stairs to get breakfast and get ready for school. As he sat there, eating his breakfast, he once again got that feeling. This time it was stronger. It gave him a slight tugging pain, but he once again dismissed it. As he and Lou, his brother, finished breakfast, they walked down to the bus stop. They sat there waiting for the bus. Then, all of a sudden, some kids on a skateboard jumped over them, only inches above their laps. They both jumped back in surprise. "Hey, what the hell?" The kid landed and turned back to them. He kicked his skateboard up and caught it with his hands. The kid seemed about 12, 1 year younger than Jeff. He wears an Aeropostale shirt and ripped blue jeans. Well, 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 it looks like we've got some new meat. Suddenly, two other kids appeared. One was super skinny and the other one was huge. "Well, since you're new here, I'd like to introduce ourselves. Over there is Keith." Jeff and Lou looked over at the skinny kid. He had a dopey face that you would expect a sidekick to have. And he is Troy, looking over at the fat kid. Talk about a tub of lard. This kid looked like he hadn't exercised since he was crawling. "And I," said the first kid, "am Randy. Now, for all the kids in this neighborhood, there's a small piece of bus fare, if you catch my drift." Louis stood up, ready to punch the lights out of the kid's eyes, and one of his friends pulled a knife on him. Tisk, tisk, tisk. "I had hoped you would be more cooperative, but it seems we must do this the hard way." The kid walked up to Lou and took his wallet out of his pocket. Jeff got that feeling. Now it was truly strong, a burning sensation. He stood up and Lou gestured him to sit down. Jeff ignored him and walked up to the kid. "Listen to me, you little punk. You give my brother's wallet back or else." Randy put the wallet in his pocket and pulled out his own knife. "Oh, and what will you do?" Just as he finished his sentence, Jeff popped the kid in the nose. As Randy reached for his face, Jeff grabbed the kid's wrist and broke it. Randy screamed and Jeff grabbed the knife from his hand. Troy and Keith rushed Jeff, but he was too quick. He threw Randy to the ground. Keith lashed out at him, but Jeff ducked and stabbed him in the arm. Keith dropped his knife and fell to the ground screaming. Troy rushed him too, but Jeff didn't need the knife. He just punched Troy in the stomach and he went down. As he fell, he puked all over. Lou couldn't do nothing but look in amazement at Jeff. "Jeff, how'd you?" That was all he said. Then the bus started coming and they would be blamed for the whole thing, so they started running as fast as they could. As they ran, they looked back and saw the bus driver rushing over to Randy and the others, and As Jeff and Lou made it to a stop, they didn't dare talk about what happened. All they did was sit and listen. Lou just thought of it as that his brother was beating up a few kids, but Jeff knew it was something more. It was something scary. He got that feeling of how powerful he was, the urge to just hurt someone. He didn't like how it sounded, but he couldn't ever help feeling happy. The strange feeling went away, and it stayed away for the whole day. When he was walking home, he probably shouldn't be thinking this, but he felt happy. When he got home, his parents asked him how his day was, and he said, in a somewhat ominous voice, "It was a wonderful day." Next morning, he heard a knock on his front door. He walked down to find 2 police officers at his door, his mother looking back at him with an angry look. "Jeff, these officers tell me that you attacked these 3 kids, and it wasn't just regular fighting. They were stabbed." "Stabbed, son." Jeff's gaze fell to the floor, showing his mother that it was true. "Mom, they were the ones who pulled the knives on me and Lou." "Son," said one of the cops, "we found 3 kids, 2 of them stabbed, one having a bruise on his stomach, and we have witness proving that you fled the scene. Now what does that tell us?" Jeff knew that it was no use. He couldn't say him and Lou had been attacked because there was no proof of who had attacked first. They couldn't say that they were fleeing because, truth be told, they were. So Jeff couldn't defend himself or Lou. "Son, call down your brother." Jeff couldn't do it since it was him who beat up all the kids. "Sir, it was me. I was the one who beat up the kids. Lou tried to hold me back, but he couldn't stop me." The cop looked at his partner, and they both nodded. "Well, kid, looks like a year in juvie." "Wait," said Lou. They all looked up at him holding a knife. The officers pulled a gun and locked them on Lou. "It was me. I beat up those little punks, and I have marks to prove it." He lifted up his sleeve to reveal cuts and bruises, as if he were in a struggle. "Son, put the knife down," said the officer. Lou held up the knife and dropped it to the ground. He put his hands up and walked over towards the cops. "No, Lou, it was me. I did it." Jeff had tears running down his face. "Poor bro. Taking the blame for what I did. Well, take me away." The police led Lou out to the patrol car. "Lou, tell them it was me. Tell them I was the one who beat up those kids." Jeff's mother put her hands on his shoulders. "Jeff, please, you don't have to lie. We knew it's Lou. You can stop." Jeff watched helplessly as the cop car speeds off with Lou inside. A few minutes later, Jeff's dad pulled into the driveway. Seeing Jeff's face, we knew something was wrong. Son, what is it?" Jeff couldn't answer. His vocal cords were too strained from crying. Instead, Jeff's mother walks into the room to break the news to his father, as Jeff wept in the driveway. After an hour or so, Jeff couldn't walk back into the house. Seeing his parents were both shocked, sad, and disappointed. He couldn't look at them. He couldn't see how they thought of Lou when it was his fault. He just went to sleep, trying to get the whole thing off his mind. 2 days went by, with no word from Lou at the JDC. No friends had hung out with, nothing but sadness and guilt. This was until Saturday, when Jeff was woke up by his mother with a happy, sunshiny face. "Jeff, it's the day," she said when she opened up the curtains and let light flood into his room. What's today?" As Jeff stirs awake. "Why, it's Billy's party." He was now fully awake. "Mom, you're joking, right? You don't expect me to go to some kid's party after..." There was a long pause. Jeff, we both knew what happened. I think this party could be the thing that brightens up the past few days. Now get dressed. Jeff's mother walked out of the room and downstairs to get herself ready. He fought himself to get up. He picked out a random shirt and pair of jeans and walked down the stairs. He saw his mother and father all dressed up. His mother in a dress and his father in a suit. He thought, why would they ever wear such fancy clothes to a kid's party? Son, is that all you're going to wear? Said Jeff's mom. Better than wearing too much, he said. His mother pushed down the feeling to yell at him and hid it with a smile. Now, Jeff, we may be overdressed, but this is how you want to go if you want to make an impression, said his father. Jeff grunted and went back up to his room. I don't have fancy clothes, he yelled down the stairs. Just pick out something, called his mother. He looked around in the closet to find something that he would call fancy. He found a pair of black dress pants, and he had a special for occasion and an undershirt. He couldn't find a t-shirt to go with it. He looked around and only found a striped and patterned shirt. Finally, he took a white hoodie and put it on. You're wearing that? They both said. His mother looked at her watch. Oh, no time to change. Let's just go. She said that she had herded off Jeff and his father out the door. They crossed the street over to Barbara and Billy's house. They knocked on the door, and it appeared that Barbara, just like his parents, way overdressed. As they looked inside, Jeff could see were adults, no kids. The kids are all out in the yard. How about you go meet some of them, said Barbara. Jeff walked outside to the yard full of kids. They were running around in their cowboy costume and shooting up at each other with plastic guns. He might as well be standing in a Toys R Us. Suddenly, a kid came up to him and handed him a toy gun and hat. Hey, wanna play? He said. No kid, I'm too old for that shit. The kid looked at him with a weird puppy dog face. Please, said the kid. Fine, said Jeff. He put on a hat and started to pretend to shoot at the kids. At first he thought it was totally ridiculous, but then he started to actually have fun. It might not have been super cool, but it was the first time he had done something that took his mind off of Lou. So he played with the kids for a while until he heard a noise, a weird rolling noise. Then it hit him. Randy, Troy, and Keith all jumped over the fence on their skateboards. Jeff dropped the fake gun and ripped off the hat. Randy looked at Jeff with a burning hatred. Hello, Jeff, is it? He said. Well, we have some unfinished business. Jeff saw his bruised nose. I think we're even. I beat the shit out of you, and you got my brother sent to the JDC. Randy got an angry look in his eyes. Oh no, I don't go in for even. I go for winning. You may have kicked our asses that one day, but not today. As he said that, Randy rushed at Jeff. They both fell to the ground. Randy punched Jeff in the nose, and Jeff grabbed him by the ears and headbutted him. Jeff pushed Randy off of him, and they both rose to their feet. Kids were screaming, and parents were running out of the house. Troy and Keith both pulled guns out of their pockets. No one interrupts or guts will fly, they said. Randy pulled a knife on Jeff and stabbed him in the shoulder. Jeff screamed and fell to his knees. Randy kicked him in the face. After 3 kicks, Jeff grabbed his foot and twisted it, causing Randy to fall to the ground. Randy repeatedly starts kicking Jeff until he started to cough up blood. Come on, Jeff, fight me. He picks up Jeff and throws him into the kitchen. Randy sees a bottle of vodka on the counter and smashes the glass over Jeff's head. Fight, he threw Jeff back into the living room. Come on, Jeff, look at me. Jeff glances up, his face riddled with blood. I was the one who got your brother sent to the JDC, and now you're just going to sit here and let him rot in there for a whole year? You should be ashamed. Jeff starts to get up. Oh, finally. You stand and fight. Jeff is now on his feet, blood and vodka on his face. Once again, he gets that strange feeling, the one he hasn't felt in a while. Finally, he's up, says Randy as he runs at Jeff. Then that's when it happened. Something inside Jeff snaps. His psyche is destroyed. All rational thinking is gone. All he can do and think is kill. He grabs Randy and pile drives him into the ground. He gets on top of him and punches him straight in the heart. This causes Randy's heart to stop. As Randy gasps for breath, Jeff hammers down on him punch after punch, blood gushing from Randy's body, until he takes one final breath and dies. Everyone is looking at Jeff now, the parents, the crying kids, even Troy and Keith. Although they easily break from their gaze and point their guns at Jeff, he sees the guns trained on him and runs for the stairs. As he runs, Troy and Keith let out fire on him, each shot missing. Jeff runs up the stairs. He heard Troy and Keith follow up behind him. As they lay out their final rounds of bullets, Jeff ducks in the bathroom. He grabs a towel rack and rips it off the wall. Troy and Keith race in, knives ready. Troy swings his knife at Jeff, who backs away and bangs the towel rack onto his face. Troy goes down hard, and now all that's left is Keith. He is more agile than Troy, though, and ducks from Jeff swinging the towel rack. He dropped the knife and grabbed Jeff by the neck, pushed him into the wall. A thing of bleach fell down on top of him from the top shelf. It burnt both of them, and yet they started to scream. Jeff wiped his eyes as best he could. He pulled back the towel rack and swung it straight into Keith's head. As he lay there, bleeding to death, he let out his ominous smile. "What's so funny?" asked Jeff. Keith pulled out a lighter and switched it on. "What's funny," he said, "is that you're covered with bleach and alcohol." Jeff's eyes widened as Keith threw the lighter at him. As soon as the flame made contact with him, the flames ignited the alcohol in the vodka. While the alcohol burned him, the bleach bleached his skin. Jeff let out a terrible screech as he caught on fire. He tried to roll out the fire, but it was no use. The alcohol was made him into a walking inferno. He ran down the hall. He fell down the stairs. Jeff started screaming as they saw Jeff, now a man on fire, drop to the ground, nearly dead. The last thing that Jeff saw was his mother and parents trying to extinguish the flame. That's when he passed out. When Jeff woke up, he had a cast wrapped around his face. He couldn't see anything, but he felt a cast on his shoulder and stitches all over his body. He tried to stand up, but he realized that there was some tube in his arm, and when he tried to get up, it fell out, and a nurse rushed in. I don't think you can get out of bed just yet," she said as she put him back in the bed and reinserted the tube. Jeff sat there with no vision, no idea of his surrounding whereabouts. Finally, after hours, he heard his mother. "Honey, are you okay?" she asked. Jeff couldn't answer, though. His face was covered, and he was unable to speak. "Oh, honey, I have great news. After all the witnesses told the police that Randy confessed to trying to attack you, they decided to let Lou go." This made Jeff almost bolt up, stopping halfway, remembering the tube coming out of his arm. "He'll be out by tomorrow, and then the two of you will be able to be here together." His mother hugs Jeff and says their goodbyes. The next couple of weeks, Jeff has been visited by his family. Then came the day where his bandages were to be removed. His family were all there to see it, what he would look like. The doctors unwrapped the bandages from his face. Everyone was on the edge of their seats. They finally waited until the last bandage holding up the covered face was almost removed. "Let's hope for the best," said the doctor. He quickly pulls up the cloth, letting the rest fall from Jeff's face. Jeff's mother screams in the sight of his face. Louis and Jeff's dad stare awestruck at his face. What happened to my face?" Jeff said. He rushed out of the bed and ran into the bathroom. He looked in the mirror and saw the cause of distress. His face. It was horrible. His lips were burnt to a deep shade of red. His face was turned into a pure white color, and his hair singed from brown to black. He slowly put his hands up to his face. It had a sort of leathery feel to it now. He looked at his family, then back at the mirror. "Jeff," said Lou, "it's not that bad." "Not that bad," said Jeff. "It's perfect." His family was equally surprised. Jeff started laughing uncontrollably. His parents noticed that his left eye and hand were twitching. Jeff, are you okay?" "Okay, I've never felt more happy. Ha 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 ha. Look at me. The face goes perfect with me." He couldn't stop laughing. He stroked his face, feeling it, looking at it in the mirror. What caused this? Well, you may recall that Jeff was fighting with Randy, something in his mind. His sanity snapped. Now he was just left there, a crazy killing machine. That is, his parents didn't know. "Doctor," said Jeff's mom, "is my son all right? In the head?" "Oh yes, this behavior is typical for patients who have taken a very large amount of painkillers. If his behavior doesn't change in a few weeks, bring him back here and we'll give him a psychology test." "Okay, thank you, doctor," his mother said as he went to Jeff. "Jeff, sweetie, it's time to go." Jeff looked from the mirror, his face still formed into a crazy smile. "'Kay, mommy, ha 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 ha." His mother took him by the shoulder and took him to get his clothes. "This is what came in," said the lady at the desk. Jeff's mom looked down to see the black dress pants and white hoodie her son wore. Now, they were clean of blood and stitched together. Jeff's mom led him to the room and made him put his clothes on. Then they left, not knowing that this was their final day of life. Later that night, Jeff's mother woke to a sound coming from the bathroom. It sounded as if someone was crying. She slowly walked over there to see what it was. When she looked into the bathroom, she saw a horrendous sight. Jeff had taken a knife and carved a smile into his cheeks. "Jeff, what are you doing?" asked his mother. Jeff looked over to his mother. "I couldn't keep smiling, Mommy. It hurt. After a while, now I can smile forever." Jeff's mom noticed his eyes ranging in black. "Jeff, your eyes." His eyes were seemingly never closing.
I couldn't see my face. I got tired of my eyes started to close. I burned out the eyelids so I could see forever myself. My new face.
Jeff's mother started to slowly back away, seeing that her son was going insane.
What's wrong, Mommy? Aren't I beautiful? Yes, son, she said. Yes, you are. Let me go get Daddy so he can see your face.
She ran into the room and shook Jeff's dad from his sleep. Honey, get the gun. She snapped and saw that Jeff was in the doorway, holding a knife.
Mommy, you lied.
That's the last thing they hear as Jeff rushes them with a knife, gutting them both. His brother Louis woke up, startled by a noise. He didn't hear anything else. He just shut his eyes and tried to go back to sleep. He was in the border of slumber. He got the strangest feeling that someone was watching him. He looked up, saw Jeff's hand covered in his mouth. He slowly raised the knife and plunged it into Lou. Lou thrashed there and trying to escape Jeff's grip. Shh, he said. Just go to sleep. I really hope you guys did enjoy that story. If you guys do enjoy, please let me know. It was a pretty long one, winky face. The only thing I didn't like about it was very poorly written, and things were just improper English in a lot of places and stuff that didn't really make a lot of sense. So I had to kind of organize that for you guys. I tried my best. I hope I did well. Anyway, if you guys missed my 1-hour ghostly advice special, don't forget to check that out. If you guys made it to this part of the video, just comment Jeff. Have a great day, and remember the fact that I love you.